Hello, YouTube. It's me, Mean Kid 141. And you can obviously just spell out the rest of your name yourself. You see, back in September of 2017, I wanted to do a review. There's a nosy fly right next to me, so sorry if you got the sound of a buzzing fly over there. But back in September of 2017, I promised that I would make a review on a movie, the Pirates Band of Misfits movie review, which I originally planned to do on September the 28th of 2017 with my brother, but we didn't have enough time to do it, so we couldn't do it. And then the old anti-Illuminati guy came along. If you go back on some of the older videos, you probably know when that all happened. But I don't know. He's not scary enough. Anyway, if you ignore that buzzing fly, sorry if I was quiet for a bit. And I originally planned to do it like with my brother. Yeah. You heard all this stuff, and then the whole bad guy came along for October of 2017, and then I completely forgot about the whole thing, and I completely forgot about it for all of 2017. It wasn't until this year when I actually remembered it. I actually remembered it this time. And I originally planned to do it, and I actually changed the plan. I wasn't going to have it with my brother. I instead decided to have it with Owen's YT Attempt, Future Animations, Jolting Jello, The Gaming Hero, and Daniel Loves Gaming. Those were the 5 people I was going to have, and I was originally going to have it on Skype, but then the idea was changed to Discord, but that didn't end up happening at all. I ended up deciding to use like these 2 characters called the Critic and the Audience as the review, and I would have shown clips from the movie with the copy that I owned. Look at me brushing my hair. I was going to have it with those 2 characters, but that didn't work out either. When I tried putting on the subtitles for the DVD, it just froze, and then it skipped to a part of the movie, and then I had to restart everything, and it didn't work out, so I decided to do it on Netflix, but Netflix removed the movie, so I couldn't do it, and I was just upset with that first part that I made on the other video I made, like 1 day ago, I was upset with that part. Everyone thought that part was good for some reason. And then I was upset with the way it is, so here's the review finally out. God, it took me way longer to make than it should have. So, what is this movie about? Well, the title says it all. This movie is about a bunch of misfits. It's a bunch of pirate misfits who can't seem to be successful. And they never get, and their bounty, and the pirate captain, who's the main character, played by Hugh Grant, he dreams of having gold and wishes and becoming successful, I guess. And so in order to win the Pirate of the Year awards, which is somewhat of like something of the year awards, like Dad or Mum of the Year award, or Parent of the Year award, so what happens next is that he goes around plundering ships. He doesn't succeed at all. He goes on a plague boat. He goes on a geography field trip. He goes on a nudist boat. He goes on a ghost ship somehow. and all of them fail. So he gives up, and then he decides to do it again. This time he goes on the ship of a very young Charles Darwin, played by David Tennant, who he gets upset about succeeding, and so he ends up deciding to to make Charles Darwin walk the plank, when he realizes that Polly, which is their bird, on the of their crew is a dodo, which is an extinct bird, and so he decides to send this to the scientist of the year, the scientist of a science competition, and he's like, "What's this prize?" And Charles Darwin says, "Untold riches," instead of just telling him that the prize, spoilers, the prize is just a trophy, a collection of books, and a visit from Queen Victoria, who's the main antagonist of this movie, because she hates pirates, because we then later find out that because they're outdated, because pirates are outdated, that's why she hates them? I don't get it. I just don't get it, because, pirates still exist to this day. Pirates are still existing. So anyway, after he thinks that the prize is money, they then head to London to win the prize. They then somehow I'm not going to explain the entire movie, because you can watch it for yourself on Kiss Cartoon or other websites that show you the full movie of and they switch out of they then dress up as Girl Scouts. They then live in Charles Darwin's house, and then Charles Darwin's monkey, Mr. Bobo. They then decide to kidnap Polly and take to the Science of the Year awards, because yes, Charles Darwin was somewhat greedy in his young years for some reason. You then get this really famous scene of the bath chase. It's a very famous scene in the movie. It's a very famous scene. You can look it up for yourself, if you really want to know what happens, and it's quite an intense ride. They then head to the Pirate of the Year awards. No, not the Pirate of the Year awards, the Science of the Year awards. And then they they then change out of their Girl Scout outfits into their science outfits, because they somehow got Girl Scout outfits and scientist outfits somewhere along the movie, off screen. He of course enters in the competition. Charles Darwin gets angry. He slams his desk, which causes a bottle of what was the bottle filled with? I can't tell. I think I have to watch the scene again and to find out what it was, but it creates a chemical reaction to vinegar. Oh, I can't tell what it was. I think I need to rewatch the scene again. He gets angry. The stuff he gets, of course, angry. We then see a future version of himself. When he was older, famous. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, they of course win the prize. Is the untold riches. He of course gets a tiny trophy, a collection of books, and he of course gets angry at Charles Darwin for not telling him, and for just wasting his time like that. Then then Queen Victoria comes to welcome Pirate Captain. Pirate Captain. Because that's his name, Pirate Captain. They then tell him that Polly would be nice in her garden of other animals that she keeps. And then he says that there's nothing more to a pirate, which of course triggers her. And then she's like, "Did you say pirate?" This of course shocks three men, and shocks them so hard that all of their monocles just popped out and fell into their cups. And then he's like, "Pirate? No, scientist, huh? See, just doing all this stuff right here." He of course does this stuff, and then it starts to fizz. He drops it, and his disguise is blown, and they're like, "He's not a scientist, he's a Girl Scout." And he's holding another one, and he's like, "Ah! He's no Girl Scout, he's a pirate." In fact, let me do a quick rendition of that "He's a Pirate" theme from Pirates of the Caribbean. There, that was the rendition. There, of course, she then decides to cut off his head. So they then place him on that thing where you go like this, and there's of course a dude shining his axe, ready to kill him. And then Charles Darwin is like, "Your Majesty, he's hidden the dodo away. If you chop his head off right now, you'll never find out where it is." And then she's like, "Wait a mo," but it's too late. Pirate Captain died. He died. We lost our main character. He was such a good person. Nah, I'm just kidding. The axe nearly cuts his head off, but she decides to let him live, and he even gets pardoned. Trust me, getting pardoned will be a serious part of the movie later. Trust me. So after that, they then decide to get back on their ship. Charles Darwin tells them that he needs to stay in London just for a bit, and so his crew is upset that he has to go in London again, and so they then venture off, because I guess that's my only explanation for the scene. So he then hangs out in the London bar. He's busy, just doing his thing. He then talks about he then tells to Charles Darwin, and he then says that he's hidden Polly in a very special place that no one can think of. He then pulls Polly out of his beard because I guess beards are like lions' manes, because I like lion manes. He keeps a bunch of stuff like a clock, an umbrella, and then Mr. Bobo pulls out a gun on him, and he's like, "Oh no, it's just a fake gun. See, it's just a..." He of course loses Polly to them. He then goes on a chase to get after them, and there's even a scene where a police officer is up in the air, is just busy telling them to stop, and then the pig comes crashing down on him. I'm not explaining the entire film to you because I'm rushing a bit. He crashes down on him, and I guess you could say it's a whole police pig joke. It's something like that, which is very sneaky of the writers to do that. I'm sure the police will no way at all be upset with that. No way at all. He eventually catches up to them. They then find Queen Victoria in this like secret place. There's also this really funny gag where Queen Victoria's in her chair and she's trying, for Charles Darwin and Mr. Bobo to try and leave, trying to drop them down in these like these vent things on the ground. She's like continuing pressing buttons on them. Oh, and there's a funny gag with Mr. Bobo where because he's a monkey, he can't really speak. So what he does instead is he has all these papers, pieces of like paper, and he just goes, and he's just spelling out the sentences. Like he's just like, there's like the scene where he's like reaching the pirates dressed up as Girl Scouts when they first get to Charles's house. Is he goes like this, "Hello, there," and it says on his postcards, "Hello, there are girl pirates." I've had such a funny gag, in the film, and in the scene, as soon as Charles Darwin drops down, he's like, "Ah," and then Mr. Bobo is just like, "Ah," and all his postcards just go up in the air and they just say, "Ah," they spell out the words, "Ah," and they end up in this like garbage chute. Charles Darwin and Mr. Bobo, they end up in this garbage chute. Oh, I should have said this at the start. I have to remind you guys that there's not going to be any footage in this review. So if you guys love listening to my boring voice, then you can continue staying here. But if you don't, then just click away. You have every chance to click away right now. Just go ahead. But if you're still here, then let's keep talking. So she then Queen Victoria then decides to make a trade with Pirate Captain, to for all this gold to enter into the Pirate of the Year awards, and to give up Polly for her in the London Zoo, I guess. So so of course the Pirate Captain accepts it because he wants to enter in the Pirate of the Year. He then reunites with his crew. I'm gonna speed up the rest of this because I want plenty of time to talk about it and not bore you guys out. He then accepts it, of course, and he gets back to his crew who are disappointed because the captain isn't here, and everyone's just so excited that he's gotten all this money, and only the pirate with the scarf, or as he likes to refer to him as Number 2, voiced by Martin Freeman, who's best known as Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit movies, in the Hobbit trilogy. He's like, "You stole all of this from the Tower of London." And of course, they're all very happy, except for him, who's just very, confused. I'll be right back real quick. So of course all of his crew believes him that he took all of that from the Tower of London, except for the pirate with the scarf, who just questions him. As they make it into the Pirate of the Year awards, there are 4 pirates there. Pegleg Hastings, Cutlass Liz, and Black Bellamy. They're the other characters in this movie. And Pirate Captain there. They're all very excited to find out who the winner is. It of course ends up being the Pirate Captain. Everyone's in shock. Cutlass Liz shoots Black Bellamy in the back. It's all in slow motion. He's just walking up to that prize in slow motion that's being honored by the Pirate King. Because if the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie had, lords and such, then of course this film would have kings, and that means they must have queens. And I think I should probably stop with the questions. But yeah, after you try and ignore the fact that pirates have lords and kings and queens and other things. Then he just, then hold on, let me think. He, of course, is about to accept it when Blackmail me shows up saying, oh, this is all nice and such, and then Pirate King is like, this is outrageous, and he's like, so is this! It shows a picture of a cat, and the audience goes, aww. But then he flips it around, and then he shows the true side, and he then explains to us that the pirate captain has been pardoned by Queen Victoria. Be right back. Alright, one of my brothers just had to come in for a split second. That you could probably go back and rewind, because he just loves to do that whenever I'm recording. But anyway, he explains to us that if you've been pardoned by Queen Victoria, you can't be a pirate anymore. So, of course, he's no longer a pirate. The pirate captain is no longer a pirate. So, everything is taken away, even his discount card. Even his pirate discount card, even though this is set in 1837. This movie doesn't have, the best of historical facts, but although this film does have a few good historical facts, like the fact that Charles Darwin's ship that he was in before the pirates attacked was called the Beagle, and yes, his ship in real life was the actual Beagle, but at the same time, this movie can have mistakes like the discount card part, but let's just ignore that. So yeah, of course he's thrown out of his he's thrown out of the the place. He then of course tells everyone that he actually had to sell Polly to sell Polly in order to get the money for the Pirate of the Year. They of course all get all sad, and then they all start to walk away feeling betrayed, and thus we get a sad song. We get a very sad moment of the crew just all so sad that captain would do something like that. And of course the pirate captain ends up working as a person who makes baby clothes. But he doesn't want this to happen anymore, so he decides to go back to Polly. He of course finds out that Polly's been kidnapped. He then meets up with Charles Darwin again, who tells him the truth about Queen Victoria, who apparently runs a ship with emperors, kings, and queens from other places of the world to eat the most endangered creatures of the world. And their highlight of this year just so happens to be Dodo Aderam. And the pirate captain panics because he realizes that they're actually going to eat Polly and not, put them in a petting zoo. Like they said, they're actually going to eat Polly. And, of course, and all Charles Darwin ever cares about is the fact that he'll be single for the rest of his life. So they then they make up a plan about how they're gonna get Polly back. The pirate captain tells Mr. Boba to go over there and tell their crew members. They then decide to go rescue Polly, and there's this really clever moment where the cards that Mr. Bobo spills out says this: "Are you out of your effing mind?" That's very clever. You gotta give credit to those to the people who wrote this movie, because that's just clever writing. So he of course realizes he thinks Mr. Boba's not going to be part of the plan. So they end up stealing a blimp, which actually the scientists who are presenting this actually said, this is not a joke, they actually said that the blimp is like designed to look under ladies' tops. I'm not even joking, that's an actual line in the movie. I mean, I'm not even joking. That is an actual thing. And Charles Darwin agrees. He's like, oh yes, you can really see ladies' tops from above here. I guess. I'm not weird. Well, actually, I do consider myself that sometimes. Anyway, moving on. So they of course make it to the ship. They drop down. They hide from the guards and stuff. And as the pirate captain leaves to get to the room, the Charles Darwin ends up getting sucked down underneath the horn that they were in. He ends up getting covered in feathers and a plumber, and he ends up getting a toilet plum on his nose and gets covered in sticky stuff, which results in him getting covered in feathers. So they then trick the guards into thinking he's a duck. They then get to the room where they subdue a chef. He ends up reuniting with Polly. Then they decide to leave, and then pirate captain has the decision to just call Queen Victoria in, and Queen Victoria ends up coming down to see what's going on. She ends up coming to fight. She ends up coming down and she then tricks Charles Darwin to thinking that she actually loved him, but no, she never did. And so they then have a fight for a quick minute. Polly's about to get killed, but Mr. Bobo saves him, and Pirate with the Scarf ends up, or number 2 comes back. He gives Pirate Captain a sword, and he then cuts a rope, and so she's just like, huh? Say? Huh? 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 What? Huh? What? What? Huh? 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 Which then drops a huge barrel of vinegar. She panics. Charles Darwin opens up the doors, which lead to an area, and she then gets thrown away. And then this happens. I'm being squashed by giant barrels of vinegar. So anyway, after that, Charles Darwin closes the door. He ends up getting crushed by a barrel. His crew reunites. He then tells him how sorry he is for everything he did in the movie. He's sorry for what he did, and he promises to never do it again. But then just to end this climax of the movie off, they then of course Queen Victoria comes back, takes Polly away. The ship ends up getting covered in white foamy stuff. The ship ends up sinking from the excessive amount of white foamy stuff, and they possibly killed about a couple of people's lives. And then Pirate Captain ends up chasing after after Queen Victoria to get Polly back. He gets on the boat. He gets on the plane to rescue Polly, and so she then starts to climb up while Queen Victoria ends up using Polly to bite the rope off that the pirate captain claimed onto, biting it off. But then and Polly ends up biting Queen Victoria's eye, and then results in her hair for some reason bursting open something bursts open something like all the hot air and containing like the heat in the balloon. You know what I mean. So of course Polly then falls down. He grabs onto everything seems safe, but then they realize the rope's about to break and they're about to fall onto the boat blades. He then says, "Oh, barnacles." And then the rope breaks and he then falls down, and just by the nick of time, the entire crew save him. Just by the nick of time, they then all make it safely back onto their boat. And then Queen Victoria then says that she'll put a bounty on him, and the whole world will know his name, and thus he gets welcomed back by his crew, and they then celebrate by the fact that their crew, by their captain returning. And just when you think it's over, no, you've actually got a couple of scenes at the credits. So let's talk about those scenes before I talk about my actual opinion on this movie. So they then realize that the pirate captain's bounty is higher than the others. He's no longer pardoned by Queen Victoria. And of course Black Bellamy, who ended up getting the prize of Pirate of the Year, he's so happy by it, but then Pirate King comes along just to take it from him again, and that leaves him sad. Oh, and all those animals that were in that boat, they made it onto an island, and they are planning to eat Queen Victoria, so she didn't get a happy ending. And Charles Darwin ended up going on an island, and I think he finally, got himself the girlfriends that he needed. Oh, and Mr. Bobo ended up coming onto their became a member of their crew, because why not? Oh, and also he said, I wonder if there was a girl on this crew, and one of the crew members who's a girl and has a fake beard, and she panics and just hides away. Oh, and he ends up getting a makeshift Pirate of the Year award. And so they decide to, head out onto the into the open ocean. And the earlier thing in the movie, when they were plotting out how they were going to get to London, there was the scene where there was a scene in the movie, that was of him saying, "Oh, we can't get around that, that huge sea monster." But then Charles Darwin, like an idiot, says, "Oh, I think they just put that in for decorations." And then we find out in the end that it was not for decorations. There's an actual an actual monster there. And yeah, that was the entire movie, explained really quickly, and not all of it. And if there's something I have to say is that I couldn't explain all of the film, because I just for some reason decided to rush it for some reason, because that's what I felt like. And if you want to see the movie for yourself, you can go on a website like Kiss Cartoon or something, and just search up Pirates and the Misfits. Just go on a website and just go on like a movie website and just search up Pirates Band of Misfits, and you can watch the full movie there. But what do I think of it? Well, I think it's actually pretty good. It's a very good film. It was a very good film from Aardman and Sony. Yes, would you believe that Sony worked on this movie? Sony Pictures Animation. Yeah, they worked on that movie before they completely ruined their entire company's legacy with the Emoji Movie. Like, the movie came out in 2012, the Emoji Movie came out in 2017. Like, there's definite like it's like a 5-year year gap. But what I think of this movie, I thought it was pretty good. I definitely have a lot of nostalgicness. I definitely have a lot of nostalgicness just watching it, or even watching clips of it. I definitely did enjoy this movie. I definitely did enjoy this movie when it came out, and I enjoyed it then, and I still enjoy it to this day. It's a pretty good movie. I'd definitely give it a watch. Next time when I'm doing a review, when I'm doing a movie review, hopefully I can get the critic and the audience characters that I made possible. Oh, and also, the only time you're ever gonna see the original idea I had for the Pirates Band of Misfits review is through the video they made yesterday. But other than that, here's me signing off. So, goodbye everyone.